I'm joined by the Army veteran, Sean Johnson. Sean, you overheard that interview there, and I just want to get your immediate kind of emotional response to the fact that, you know, yesterday Homes for Heroes promised the notion that veterans would be put first. Today, they're not even being put ahead of asylum seekers.
And never was. Am I shocked? No, because this has been going on for years. Let's go back to 2011 when the Armed Forces Covenant was first brought into action. It would be honoured by all councils and everything else. And I know from the work I do, that is just not the case. They're not, because people aren't honouring anything at all. So what happens when you get this news after news, this is happening, that's happening, people, it's like the crying wolf. It gets tiring. So I'm not surprised that this is going to happen, because it's not going to happen. And I'll give you some examples of that, Martin.
Yeah. Go on. So the kinds of people, the kind of former servicemen that you work with, the kind of situation they get themselves involved. You telling me some of their stories and why they need help.
I was, mate, because when I left the military, the last thing you have to worried about was where you were going to live. It was the last thing on your mind. And I came out through an injury, and I was quite fortunate. I connected well and had some good support network around me, but some people don't. And I was in Hyde Park a good few years ago, and somebody called out Jono, my old military nickname, and I thought, I haven't heard that for a couple of years. I turn around in Hyde Park, and there's a chap standing there. Couldn't have been more dishevelled if you try to cast him in a movie. He was at his worst. I looked beyond him, and then I turned around. He called me again. Now, it was a guy called Petal. I won't use his full name, but I served with him in the military. He was the smartest chap you could ever imagine. And now here he was standing with a bag of I don't know what was in the bag. He stank, and he was all over the place. But he had a smile on his face. And I took him in to back home, and I got him cleaned up, and the stench was awful. But I couldn't understand why Mick had gone from that to this, where he'd lost absolutely everything, until he unravelled. Now, I do a lot of work. I do a lot of work in certain areas. I've made a film about homelessness. I'm on a YouTube channel called On Parade UK. We interview veterans all the time. And I work for a fantastic military charity, the Poppy Factory. And I work with veterans every single day across the whole of the UK. And one of the main questions we ask is, what's their homeless situation? Do they need support? And a lot of our guys do. So we have to point them in the right direction and try and get them embedded into the local community the best we can through our expertise.
Can I ask you, this announcement promised the world yesterday.
Yeah.
Today it seems to have failed to deliver any concrete prioritisation for veterans. How does that make you feel, and how will that make the armed services community feel?
Well, let's look at the situation now. I've just rolled in a few miles away to the studios. A lot's gone on. We're sending 700 troops out to Cyprus. Biden's on about some breaking news of it. And then, of course, now you've got the situation now where people want to join the armed forces at their young ages now. How are they going to join the armed forces if there's all this talks going on that they might, when they come out of it, whatever their time is, they've got nowhere to live? So it's quite disappointing. Like I said to you, Martin, it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise.
Sean Johnson, thank you very much for joining us. Terrible situation there. Thanks for your reaction. That's all from me for now. Jubes & Co. is up next. I'll be back at 7 o'clock tonight. I'm coming in for Nigel Farage. We're sure to be talking about this situation again, that's for sure, in that exclusive today. The Armed Services veterans, no doubt, will be very, very disappointed by Homes for Heroes promising the world yesterday and today, perhaps failing to deliver. I'm Martin Daubney. This is GB News. Now it's time for your weather, and here's Aidan McGibbon. Thanks, mate.